Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that, we are live. Maybe. Perhaps. Yeah, it seems to be fine. I'll just make sure there is sound. There is sound. We are Gucci gang, as the kids say, certainly these days, right? That's like the fresh new meme popular on the block. It's Gucci gang. Everybody loves Gucci gang. Right. Anyway, we are back on this again because, yes, there's no justification. It's just gonna happen. Um, hello. In the meantime, I've gotten a wonderful bit of feedback on minds.com. Shoutouts to Nobloom. I have got no clue how to pronounce the name, but it's pointed out that the whole foreground doesn't actually have the same color palette as the background, meaning the background is like warm yellow green and the foreground is actually like more bluish. Like you see these colors are a lot more towards blue. And now that he's pointed it out, I can't unsee it, so we are gonna be fixing it. That's like the first thing I want to do. And the start would probably be to just hue shift the entire thing towards like yellow, but these are, oh, that's saturation, not hue. So this would be like the, yeah, I don't want to overdo it, but no, the point would be to shift the entire layer somewhat like in this direction. And this already meshes so much better with the rest of the image. I can't believe I didn't see this, but I guess that's the that's kind of how it goes when you spend a lot of time on something. You're kind of used to it. You don't really see these opportunities for like, oh, I could improve this significantly via a simple like adjustment like this. This is too far. I basically got it pretty good on the quote unquote first try. Okay, so now compare this to what it was before, right? The you see how this is like lit with a fluorescent light, basically, and it just doesn't fit at all. This is so much better in terms of actually fitting together with the picture, and it's such a simple change too. And you know, I understand exactly how this happened, because how this happened is I started from like the reference original picture, which is a lot more blue and green. It's a lot colder in palette. I think I even have an image of that in here. So, whoops. So if you look at the original, this is the reference. Yeah, refrenv. Great spelling. Yeah, if you look at the original is a lot cooler in color. So you've got like these bluish teals and like greens. And there's like little highlights that are more towards the yellow side, but the overall balance is a lot more blue. So that is what I started with, and I started with the foreground. And because of that, I ended up having the foreground be a different color, and then I started doing the background. I figured, nah, I want this different than the original. So I did it differently than the original, but the foreground stayed kind of similar to the original. And that's how we ended up with this mess. Now this looks like it's had a filter slapped on it, so it needs like adjustment on the individual colors on it. Just gotta figure out what layer this is on. This is the foreground. Yeah. Okay, and the wrong tool. Okay, so we can adjust probably just this. So like brighten up the highlights a little bit and desaturate them maybe. I don't want them to stand out too hard, but you know, just Is this good? I'm not sure. Wait. Okay, yeah, this and this I want. This is slightly too yellow, I think. Yeah, it's slightly too yellow, so adjust it to be a little more on the green side. And then desaturate it a little bit. Maybe? I'd say this looks better. I will try to avoid the trap of now adjusting this 50 million times over and over again. As I may or may not have a tendency to do. Left entirely to the viewer's interpretation whether or not that's a problem. I'll remain uncommitted either way. Alright, then let's get back into it, I guess. Do I want to adjust the water is the question. You know what? Let's see if it looks better. Also naming layers. Probably should do that at some point. This is also Ori. This is like Ori Glow. This is the Ori Blob layer because it didn't quite work out. And this is Ori Face, right? Yep, that's it. That's it. I'm thinking maybe his eyes are a little too... Yeah, that's a lot more like him. He's got like these circles for pupils, question mark? Hard to say if these are pupils, but this is more like what he actually looks like. This is like so small on the entire image that it looks kind of like pixel art when I zoom in that much, but yeah, that's kind of the decent. I'm not sure if this background, I think it helped a little bit because the background behind him used to be a little brighter, and when I added the ground, kind of like similar to the mushrooms. I should add some mushrooms like in the background here as well. That would blend better, but I do wanna, because I did like the cliffs in the background last time, and I kind of just slapped them on towards the end, and it's missing a little something. So it's like you can very clearly see that this is just one layer in the background, and this terrain is just like completely different from all the background cliffs. And also, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for this tree to be here and the cliff to be there. It seems like this tree doesn't really connect with the terrain, and especially for how large it is, it doesn't really... Like, the tree currently doesn't really fit into the environment in any way. It's just kind of there, because I kind of placed it there. Presumably the reason for that feeling. And similarly with this tree as well, it's kind of not integrated into... I mean, I guess you could make the argument that its roots start further down, and there was like kind of ground accumulating on top of it, but I think we could use a little bit more in terms of support for this tree, and also to like position it more in the scene. And these cliffs in the background, I'd also like to integrate them with this layer. And these like little sticks, I'm not sure if I want to keep them. I think I might delete them. This is left tree, which is slightly like wrong in color, I feel like, but not sure, so I'll leave them. I was also thinking maybe I'd desaturate these a lot more. Like I'd not to that extent quite, but I was thinking, you know, of a completely like different, not this like yellow, not this yellow color, maybe like something in like this vein, or maybe just completely like alien, like a completely different kind of shade, completely different color for them. I don't like the like orangey, I don't like the orangey one they have right now. Not sure what color I want it to be, but like the current like orange-ish, like it's super saturated, and even just desaturating it actually looks a lot better. So I don't want them to be green because that looks a little odd, but desaturate, and then maybe in the like more red-ish territory, perhaps. Not quite certain. It would mesh well. It would mesh better with this mushroom. We could actually make all of these have these little spots like this mushroom does. That kind of maybe add cohesion, although this is a different kind of mushroom than this one, so maybe they shouldn't be red. Like I should use a different color for these. But also I guess it would have to be brownish. Now, this is too dark. But like I'm thinking this is better than what we had before. Let's compare. Like, yeah, definitely the yellow, like, orange is too much. It just doesn't quite hit right. So I think this is an improvement. I'll keep this for now. And then we'll see. I might move on from it. I might change it. We will see. It might happen. It might stay like this. This is a work in progress kind of approach. It certainly makes these look better. They are still, like, far from what I'd like them to be, but because I don't really know what I'd like them to be, that's kind of, it remains to be, kind of conceptualized and figured out. I'm not sure about any of this. Like, this should be dark because it's on the other side, underside, but this is too dark. Like, this doesn't look like the same material. So perhaps replacing with a slightly brighter color. Alright, yeah, it's too dark. Like somewhere between these two. Something like this, where it doesn't really... And then we could have... Is it the same layer? Yeah. So like, we could have like this little underbelly underneath it. Right, and this would suggest that there's like two materials to it, not just one. Like one is the like kind of top layer, and then the other material is kind of the bottom layer of it. Like something like this. And you have a little bit of that visible over there. Something like this. I'm not quite fully on board with this yet, but this I want something like this to be happening with this stuff. Like, this is rough. So, oh, weird noises, whatever. Let's see. Oh, this is on the wrong layer. This is not. This shouldn't be on the tree layer. Like this, that should be on the tree layer if it's shading for the tree. So. Okay, this not bad, not bad. I'd say that's an improvement over what was here before. So that is pleasant. I can maybe adjust this a little bit as well. Whoops, wrong color somehow. This is too harsh, I think. There needs to be like one more color. Either that, or this whole thing needs to be moved up so that this is like the highlight on the very edge of that, and then it like rapidly decreases in brightness until it hits like the harsh, really dark color, like basically around the entire brim. Something like this. Okay, like I can work with this. So then we just take this and we use this as the highlight color for the rest of the layer, like on the sides, because you would have some like diffused light actually lighting up the edges of that a little bit because the background is brighter than the foreground, or maybe even a little bit more of that kind of thing going on. And then we brighten up, we bring this part to be a little brighter as well. And then this still needs like one more color to be between these two. Because I'd like this to also like extend a little bit over to this part of it. And then this color is too bright. So like between these two, we want to go like a little bit here, a little bit there. And then, no, a little brighter. Too bright. I need a bigger color selector. I might. Is it too many colors for one place? Maybe, but this is like a draft. We can eliminate some of these. Okay, this looks immediately a hell of a lot better. than the previous iteration of this. Yeah. Okay, now this looks very much more like an organic shape, kind of. That is embedded into the overall structure. And we could actually also have a little bit of this visible through here. So, like this is the inside of the mushroom, kind of sticking out. And then this is like the rim. That's the inside, and then we have like this kind of thing going over the. Ooh, oh, okay, hold on. I see another idea. Look, we could have a little bit of the brim also finished off like that, so you can kind of see the brim on the other side where it connects with the grey part. And then perhaps a little bit under that, like darker, to suggest that there's like a little lip underneath it. That's something, okay? It's a rough estimate, but I think it's an improvement. And then this stupid potato, which has given me a lot of headaches, apparently, is still needs something. Needs quite something to be actually fine. We can introduce this color as well to it. Oh, this is on the same layer. That's probably bad, but we can live with that. It's fine. We've seen worse. Like something like this. Maybe. Alright, anyway, I should probably, instead of just making random noises as I do this, I should get into a topic that I was kind of thinking about recently and wanted to bring up and bounce about in spoken form. Because the thought starts, and I don't necessarily have any point. Sorry for my lack of commentary, don't worry about it. That is a-okay. The thought starts with a kind of observation that persuading a bean to sleep. That's fair enough. I wouldn't wanna interrupt that in any way. By which I mean I am going to start yelling loudly and hope you have me on loudspeaker. Of course. Yeah, anyway, the thought starts with an observation that there's a sort of big difference in the world we inhabit today versus what kind of used to be. And the difference is in terms of information. We are now in an age where information is... We are working with scarce information. We are not working with scarce information anymore. So it used to be, before the information age, you could call it, the world used to generally be low information by nature, because it was very hard to transfer information from one place to another. And this has been, of course, not like that for a while, but it's absolutely in overdrive these days. So you end up with a completely different structure in terms of what people choose, what they think, and what they notice, and what seems important to them. And I think part of the return to tradition movement, right, that you see pop up and be like, yeah, and this is in various spaces, right, like whatever you name it, there probably is a movement like that. A part of what, basically whatever you choose, there's a part of it that has this mindset of we want to return to what was before. And I think that's kind of a response to that. So that's a response to the fact that we now have so much information to process, and they like to opt out of that by going back. And this is usually not this is obviously generalizing, etc., but I'm trying to convey a whole idea with this, so I'm going to be generalizing and kind of drafting it out as I go. So you've got like you've got all these movements that would like to preserve the way things were, like whatever that really means at any given moment, because that, of course, usually refers to the time where they got into the particular thing they are doing this for. So like if they, if they got in 20 years ago, they are going to be trying to preserve what was there 20 years ago, most likely. Some people are going to probably be advocating for rolling it back further, but that's probably, like, less people are going to be doing that than people who, who want to roll back to what they remember as the kind of default. And this, like, that connects to another thought, which is that there's a whole, and this is connected, okay, but there's a whole, this whole kind of like conflict between objectivists and subjectivists. I don't know, that's probably the correct terms. So you've got like people who believe that, but basically people who believe in objective reality and how that we can have like observations about objective reality, and then the people who kind of go into the direction of no. It's like, no, it's all like one of the sides is it's all subjective and what everybody can do whatever, and whatever, like whatever you believe is your truth, that kind of deal. This is the wrong layer. And then you have the other kind of part of it, which is, objective. We can make observations about reality as it is. And I think oftentimes what is missing from conversations about that is that the objectivist side usually argues for kind of like an extremist version of it based on some common sense, but somewhat misguided. As in, okay, let me explain what I am trying to convey here. So the idea isn't really, because this is where it connects to information overload, right? So the idea isn't really that when we are trying to figure out what the objective truth is, right? And this could be in any domain, effectively. We can only express so much. We can only express so much in terms of, like, especially depending on how far in terms of technological advancement, and not just like devices and measurements and whatnot, but in general, like where we are in terms of thinking, like what kind of thought mechanisms we've already instituted to help think things further. We can only have so much, like a we have a very limited kind of slice of the truth. Like if you consider like the truth, the theory of everything, right? There's so many variables and so many components to that we can't really have that. It's not really possible to have it, to have something like this. And so this is where the subjective argument kind of creeps in, because you take that and say like, well, because if it's so complex, then surely we can't make claims about it. Like you can't claim to know the truth because you are a fallible person with your own perspective, and you're looking at it from, like, you can only look at it from your perspective, so it doesn't really make sense for you to make claims about all of reality when you are just like one guy, one guy thinking about it and sharing his thoughts. It doesn't make sense for you to be like, you are not an oracle, right? You are not allowed to just claim things and then be objective reality. So your truth is to get graped by society. Absolutely. But okay, so in that way, I think a lot of these like return to tradition movements are kind of referring back to that, where they are kind of escaping the they're trying to escape the consequences of So you can't simply, you can't really, if you want to argue against the subjective perspective, you can't really say that no, you are wrong, but the reason you are wrong is because we actually have a theory of everything that explains literally every single thing ever, and we'll just tell it to you. Because, like, no matter how smart you are, you don't have that. Like, it's impossible to have that. At least, you know, as far as I'm aware, there's absolutely no way you have a theory of everything that is actually a theory of everything. Like, not happening. Sorry. So, if you have a claim that, you know, you have done this thing in the perfect way forever, and this is how it should always be because it's tradition, then you effectively get rid of everybody that doesn't already agree with you, which is a horrible arguing technique. You probably don't want to do that. But then it's very hard to argue with that kind of perspective, because it's kind of, the whole approach is to fight against, in a way, new information and new perspectives, and kind of busting up what was already there, and, you know, it's been working for a while, so why touch it? And the reason why we have to touch it is because we can't, like, you can't pretend, you know the saying, right? You can avoid reality, but you can't avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. So that's effectively the idea, that it's like, okay, it was working, but over time, we can very clearly see that it's not working for new people. There's no new people coming in, nothing's changing, like, we are falling behind. There's, you know, there's competition that's sneaking in and taking away people who would normally be interested in our thing. Now they are going to other people, and, you know, like, if you want to have this on the, like, faith level or, like, religious things, it's like you have people that have kind of exited the religious sphere and have instead gone into, like, personal growth and whatnot, where you have a lot of the same ideas that have been kind of abandoned by the religious side of things in favor of turning spirituality into feelings. And then people are naturally going away from the feelings and then looking for the kind of meat of the issue outside of it. So then if you are an institution like that, then you probably want to ask yourself, it's like, okay, what the hell are we doing? Where are all these people going? Like, what is that? And you probably should see it as a problem, because it kind of is a problem if you're an organization like that. It's like, you know what? I didn't really know how. I didn't think this is particularly groundbreaking, in terms of, like, the idea, but that's like that's kind of the side point. But the main point about that I'm thinking about is that has changed kind of the way I think about things and I approach things. Because okay, hold on. Whoops. Because I've in a way I've stopped looking for, like, the way to do things. That's the main kind of point of difference that has happened for me. It's like I've stopped looking for the solution, right? Or, whoops, accidentally shrunk the window again. I've stopped looking for, like, the way to do things, or, like, the definitive advice or anything, because it really seems like that's not a correct approach to solving problems, especially in the age of information that is not really limited. So, like, in a world where we have an immense amount of information, the problems are different, because the problem isn't, how do I acquire this information that is hard to find, hard to come by? How do I get it? The the question becomes, how do I parse and filter and categorize and integrate into my thinking all this information that is readily available and in fact bombarding me and fighting for my attention every single day? Like the type of problem this is like completely different. It requires a completely different approach than you would have if you were just solving the problem of, oh, you don't have information. And I think this also applies to other people. So like if you want to communicate, if you want to, you know, get your ideas out to people and communicate them, etc. You want to do that, but while you do that, you want to be mindful of the fact that that is the reality the people you are talking to live in. Right? It's like you can't just ignore that. Or rather, well, you can, but you shouldn't. Like you shouldn't ignore this and say like, no, you should be living in a reality where this is not the case. You should be living in a place where you know, you should just limit the amount of information you have and pretend like you are living in a world where you don't have the information, because if you do that, then you can kind of cobble together what you have and it'll kind of make sense and it'll be good enough for you. But then if you already have the information, then it's fairly hard to actually like lobotomize yourself out of having the information. Like when you see a contradiction in a system, it's hard to look at the system and like pretend the contradiction isn't there. At least, well, something autism, I don't know, but it's hard to take something you know and then like you can't really unlearn it. And then if somebody requires you to you know, to unlearn it, as in somebody requires you to just like lobotomize yourself and stop thinking about certain things when you clearly see that they are problems that are important, well then you end up with that you don't want to do what that guy's saying. Like and this is, I think, naturally how a lot of movements that used to do a lot of good are losing people left and right, because they are just trying to sell people a vision. Like they are trying to sell people a vision for like what has been, but there's a reason we are no longer in the place we have been in, and there's points that have been made that have convinced people. And if you want to convince people back, then you have to take into account the points that have been raised and not just, you know, pretend that they don't exist and then, you know, make your argument as if nothing's ever happened and just advocate that people should believe you because that's how it's always been. And it's good, I guess. But it's like, but what about all these problems that I now know about and I need to somehow solve? Like if I want to replace this idea I have in my head with your idea, then how do I resolve all of these problems? And you know, for a lot of people, this is not gonna be very like super conscious necessarily. Like they are not going to necessarily have like this exact conscious process going on to like evaluate the ideas and whether they are good or bad, but they are going to manifest, and they're going to manifest in uncertainty. Sorry, uncertainty. That's the correct pronunciation. Is going to manifest in uncertainty. You're gonna have people asking you questions and being confused and like coming to you and continuously coming to you as well. So like you won't have it in a way where they naturally kind of pick up from where you left them and they do their own thing. You'll have them coming back and continuously re-asking questions and needing more and more information from you, as opposed to going out and figuring it out on their own. I don't know. I've been kicking these thoughts around in my head, kind of. I don't know what it sounds like to a person that hasn't been thinking them. Might be incoherent rambling, might be like the most obvious thing ever. Just can't really know. Okay, in terms of this, I'm separating out this into different layers because I've clearly made a whole mess of these and I need to kind of sort it out if I want to continue with adjusting these. Because it is a hot mess. Okay, so this is like the background. Then they kind of have like two different parts of the background, and I have the pier. No, this is not the pier. This is the like walkway. The walkway is also kind of separate, and I completely lost where it is as well on the layer. Okay, so this is like this is the submerged potato. This is a submerged potato. Then we probably have, yeah, we probably have this like tree potato on another layer. I mean, I know they are mushrooms now, but I guess they are staying called potatoes. This is gonna be the annoying potato because I'm annoyed by it sometimes. I am clearly not typing right. Annoying potato. Yes, and then this is the Australian potato. And this one is upside. This is Australian because it's of course upside down. And now that we have these on separate layers, then we can separate this into a separate layer, and we're gonna have this in supports, and then we're gonna group this into a group. Then the annoying potato is gonna have its own supports, and submerged potato doesn't have any supports really. Let's see. This is like the walkway wood, let's say, and that's gonna be in front of the submerged potato. Yeah, that's better. Now we have the supports front, but we need, from the supports from front, we will need to isolate this, which is this whole thing needs to be separated into another layer. Like this. And we are also going to actually separate these. Okay, whoops, hold on. Okay, first let's isolate this blob into merge with walkway wood. That's kind of on the same layer. And then we can maybe... Wait, did I merge this? Oh, merge it the other way around. There we go. Because of how that inherits the name. Right, now I have... Now I can separate this layer properly. So we just hit... You just do this. And then we can... Whoops. We can hold shift and do the entire support structure basically. Cut and paste. Alright, so now we have the annoying potato and then supports front, and then we're gonna separate this into supports front and supports back. This is the upside down one, and now the upside down one has supports front. No, this is the walkway wood. No, the other way around. We want to merge these together, and we'll probably also split this into in front of the walkway and behind the walkway. Maybe. We can afford to have a lot of layers. That's alright. These are not supports front. These are like supports front for... Whoops. No, these are supports front. Then we have this, and then we have supports back. But this is one layer of supports back. And then I have another layer that is somewhere. It's probably this. Supports back 2. And then this is the walkway and also some other random things. Like the leaves for some reason. Also, this color is horrendous. I don't look at how neon this is. I don't know how I haven't noticed this before, but I guess it needs to be fixed. Wait, there's like a whole thing in here that is completely wrong on the layer. Okay, let's cut this out, paste it in. And then this is the walkway, and this isn't the walkway. This is the kinda... Wait, this is the walkway, and this layer is kind of the mid background tree. That's what we do. We separate this out. Yeah, and then we can deal with the fact that these are on the same layer as well. We can deal with that later, I think. Okay, so now that we have these supports kind of figured out in separate layers, and the walkway... Okay, so now we can probably... So the tree potato is a completely separate thing. We can put it here and it doesn't collide with anything, and that's fine. Now we have the walkway. The walkway should be in front of the submerged potato. So drag it like that. And now the submerged potato is all one layer, so that is fine. We'll just adjust it so it doesn't quite look that bad. Then we have the walkway and walkway wood as well. We need it to be together. Now we have the supports back too, and then the upside down potato. Supports back too, supports front. I have this whole thing, which might be fine as its own layer, because this walkway is in front, and I want the walkway to be between these two layers. So you kind of okay, so we kind of have this in front, and this is on top above the walkway. This is kind of how we figure it out. Right. Okay, now this color looks absolutely awful. Which layer is that? That's one of the back supports. Probably should merge both the layers for the back support, and then this is... No, this is also the back support. I kind of messed it up because I have I clearly confused myself. Okay, we can merge this into walkway. Oh, there's clearly one support that is missing from that. It's probably... Yeah, there we go. It's on this layer, so we want to cut this out. What else is on this layer? Also this. You also cut it out. Also this, I think, is on this layer as well. And these. So we just grab all of this. We pull it out. And merge it with the walkway. Walkway wood. Okay, that's good. That's all of them, I think. Now we can hide the walkway for now, so we can work on this properly. It's getting somewhere, you know. I could have started by planning this out, but since I haven't started by planning it out and instead have ended up with everything on one layer, now we separate the layers. But it's fine, because it's easier to figure it out when it's easier to kind of just draw things when they are all on one layer and then kind of refactor it, to borrow a term from programming projects, than it is to try and figure it out from the very get-go. So like this kind of piece is weird. Like it kind of connects with this one as well, I guess, so maybe it works? You know what? I'm not offended by this. So maybe we actually can merge these supports back with the second layer of the back supports, and then disable the supports front, and then figure out what this is going to look like. So then I want to take this color because it's mad ugly and doesn't fit. Desaturate it, shift it towards red a little bit, brighten it, no, darken it a little bit so it's highlight but not... Yeah, much less yellow. No. But apparently I can't redo it. I'm not allowed. Redoing Sorry, we'll have to do it manually again. Whoops. Unlucky. Okay, select this, Ctrl U, desaturate, shift towards the red a little bit, desaturate further, make slightly brighter. Alright, like that, and then get rid of these two little... Whoops. Am I not allowed? No, that's on a different layer, probably on top of this. Which probably is this one? There we go, yeah. Okay, so this one should be behind the supports. Yeah, behind both these supports, there should be this one. And then it's all right. I think? Question mark? All right, let's fill in the holes, because this is a little bit of a problem, I think. So, okay, have that be a whole thing. The shape looks nice on its own. Whoops, wrong. I'm pressing all sorts of wrong buttons. Right, nice. So we have that. Then we exchange the supports front. The supports front are fine, I think. These two can be the supports front. And then the supports back are a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We can pull them, we can improve them. Like this. Then we probably erase. I'm doing this on the wrong layer again. How cool. Now I'm gonna have to worry about layers. Now you understand why I've decided to like sketch it out on one layer, because this is getting very easy to confuse when you have to kind of juggle between working on different parts of it, like sequentially in different layers. But I'm not complaining. Layers are a powerful tool. There comes a time where you just want to use layers because they are the best tool for the job, and this time has come here, so that is exactly what I'm doing. Alright, like this, and we fill in the missing bits of wood, and we erase the additional little bits that were left behind by me selecting things, or like by me making just a little bit of a mess while I was working on this. So like, yeah, something like this. And then we could even darken this bit, because it's kind of underneath that. So we can just darken it to make sure that that is working. All right. Something like that, something like that. Wonderful. Especially cool. And then, yeah, that's on the outside of this, so we just kind of make it look like it sticks out outside. Okay, these are the back supports. Now we can enable the front supports again. And they're kind of missing something. I think this horizontal line was originally supposed to be in the foreground. I think I have the sketch still, so... Oh, this whole support was in the foreground, and I moved it to the background. Okay, let's... You know what? This is a good idea to move this to the foreground, absolutely. And then this entire thing is also going to move. I think, yeah, and this is also going to move. Now we can disable the back supports again. So hide the back supports, enable the sketch. And now on the front supports, we add the missing front support. Yeah, so we just pull this into the front. This is a front, then this is a front, and this is also a front support. Then these are the back supports. Yeah, that's the back support. So we turn this off, we turn the back supports on, and then we fill in the back supports. So like this is going to be in the back, or is this more on the front? Now I think this is a front support. But we could have like a little bit here, I think. That would help. And erase this. Maybe have another extend like kind of in this direction. I think that wouldn't hurt. Yeah. And that's probably it, because these are in the back. This is in the front. This is, I guess, also in the back, kind of. Like that. Okay, so supports back and supports front. We have all of this, and then this kind of sticks out into the front as well. So we might want to introduce this bit, because this kind of crosses, the back crosses over with the front with that. Okay, so now if we enable both layers at once, and then we disable the sketch, we have a decent enough support structure for this. And but it suffers for some problems, like there's no support kind of here, which I feel like I've just added and looks fine. So replace this with a little something like this. When we have it supported like that, then maybe less of this. You know what? I like this more. I like the not being like this whole thing here. This looks better, if you ask me. Okay, but if I like make these transparent to see better what's going on, because something doesn't quite look right, and I don't know what it is. I'm thinking these should be on the front support, because this is kind of like eating into the mushroom, so we want this to kind of stick out from this side. This to like hold a little bit, and this is too far. Oh, this is like okay, yeah, this is a mix between the foreground and the background. Or maybe like a little bit of that. Doesn't hurt. Do not know. This is highly experimental. We are trying things out. Okay, this blends with the foreground leg completely, and it doesn't look great due to that. Maybe if we had... Maybe if you have this branch away from it. Kind of, yeah. I think, and then we have like maybe two beams like this supporting that. And now we actually do this. And now what we can do with the back layer is we can make it a little darker. So make the back layer a little bit darker, a little bit, because what I should actually really be doing is I should be making the foreground layer lighter, because this whole thing is a little on the darker and more saturated side. So like maybe I should be doing it the other way, although not really, because that inside is in the shade more than the outside is. So I think this is mostly good. And now we just shorten this so it's like a reasonable length. We've introduced a little bit of a color variation to this, kind of inadvertently. I think that's a word I could use. Like it just kind of happened. Yeah, so like introduce a little bit of differentiation in these so that they look like they are actually a little bit more 3D than previously imagined. Although this could use a shade, not a highlight. And there's a little bit to this that isn't quite really shading as much as just distinguishing the foreground from the background. I feel like this is almost more like visual design than it is actual shading. Because I'm not like really trying to shade, as in I'm not trying to mimic how light actually would behave on this object. I'm trying to get the object to kind of look right. Losing the voice a little bit there. Whoops. Okay, this looks good, I'd say. These supports look pretty darn good. I think we can work on this now. So like these supports are mostly done, and we will just slap. Okay, you know what I could do also? I could grab all these layers and then move this entire thing a little bit down. And I think this makes a lot more sense with how it's positioned in 3D space. I'll do that as a kind of experiment. Okay. I feel like I've been making absolutely no progress today so far, to be honest. Kind of been just separating all the layers, which I maybe should have done offline, because I don't think this is very entertaining. Me just messing with layers over and over again. So perhaps that should be something to consider. Okay, how do I separate this out? I definitely have a sketch for this. So what layers of this go on the front versus what layers of this go on the back? Let's see. We have this, and then these are supports front, but the supports front are actually behind. Kind of behind the thing. Okay, so I would like this entire bit, like this entire front bit needs to go into the front with, I think, this beam. Yeah, I'd like this entire bit to be in front of the big mushroom, so we're kind of gonna round about and have this in the foreground. Need a little bit of removal here because I accidentally selected too far. Then this is in the back, and this is also in the back. So these are basically the only parts of this that are gonna be kind of in the foreground. So we cut them out, we paste them. Now these are supports front. Am I not allowed to? Okay, thank you. Okay, now we can kind of erase this. And then we have the supports back on a separate layer. And we can do the same trick again, where we take the foreground layer and we just brighten it up a fair bit, fair amount. And then we disable the sketch. And I need to bring the back supports a little darker as well. So let's saturate them a little bit more and then darken them. But not too much. And maybe adjust the front to be a little bit brighter as well. I'm thinking. Pretty good, I'd say. Pretty good. Like, these actually look like support structures, which is what they were supposed to look like. They truly look like they are holding these two up, which is a big improvement over what was there before. Alright, and now I have a bunch of layers. So I think one more thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix up the walkway. Fix up the walkway. This is the layer of the walkway. Alright, so now we have walkway wood. Now, walkway wood could easily be separated into walkway wood back and walkway wood front. So like this is the back. And this is the back. And this is the back, I guess. Kind of. If I like select this and this bit, that's the back. So Control V, and this is the wood back. This is the wood front, and this is the walkway itself. Now this already looks a lot better, just by virtue of it being on the proper layer. and between, like, ordered properly. Whoops. I can still make adjustments, however, so like, whoops. What would happen if I moved this beam, like, more in this direction? We could have it be, like, tied with rope to these, I think. That would be an improvement. And then similar kind of move here where we bring it a little bit more in line so we can actually see that these are pairs of vertical beams. And then just gonna fill in the walkway between because the gaps, because now gaps happened. Something like this. Yeah, maybe. Hello, human. Hello. What up? I'm drawing. I don't. Did you show up before for this one? I don't remember. How is well-being? It's alright. The stream is going like I'd say I kind of got bogged down in sorting layers and separating stuff out, etc. But I'm maybe recovering a little bit. Wait, this is on the front layer, that's why it's not working. Haven't played in a while. Oh yeah, I've dropped my video game playing has dropped off a cliff. I've been playing a little bit of Straftat. I don't know if you've heard of that. Remember Tari? Yes, I do. What happened? Has he exploded? Have you been playing with him or something? I don't know. Of course I remember, but what do you mean by that? What could you possibly mean by that, I wonder? Boom. Yeah, that's the beam. For the front, beam for the back. Fix these up, because this is just a hot mess in various places. Apparently. Oh wait, no. I confused you with Yeast for some reason. I don't know why. That's true. Maybe because of the color of the profile picture. It's kind of similar to Yeast, like little rabbit guy. Yes, I remember the shenanigans, of course. This is a certified cringe moment by me. Apologies. Whoops. I messed up. Chat. I messed up. I think what you do in these situations, you like make a 5-hour apology video where you say that you are not actually really sorry, but it's kind of unfortunate, and I'd like my views back. Lamau. I think that's what you do to like handle a scenario like this. We gotta do it. Okay, how's this? With face cam too. Yeah, with you wanna start with you wanna have the face cam. You wanna start with the. So I really didn't want to make this video, but I need my views back. Give it back my views, guys. I need my ad revenue, please. By which I mean, I demand my ad revenue back. Give it back. Screw you. You are legally obliged to hand me my revenue back, or I will hold your family hostage. It will happen. It is not. It's not a matter. It's not a question. It's a matter of time. Okay, I wish I could like do this and just move the selected in the folder, but I don't think that works at all whatsoever. So in order to do that, we'll just make more layers, because what could possibly ever go wrong with just making 1,000 layers for everything? That's what I thought. Absolutely nothing. Boom. Extract that. Now I can move just this little bit. And then we move, whoops, we move this one to the right. Maybe like this, actually. I like this a lot more. Okay. Miss the times we played TF2. It was funny. It could happen again. You know, it could happen again. Maybe. Now that kind of depends on me wanting to play games, but if you see me like play games, hit me up anytime. I'm most likely fine to play if I'm playing. And if not, I'll just tell you like, oh, I'm just doing this for like 2 minutes. So hit me up. It's gonna it could happen. It is entirely possible for it to happen. Not out of the question. I've not like retired completely from playing video games or anything. Funny British man in whale. You mean Nebu? Probably, right? Surely. Surely Nebu's the funny British man. Could be Quack as well. I don't know. Kind of stopped playing too. Yeah, like in terms of CS, I dropped off a cliff completely. In terms of my interest in CS, they kind of like that. I don't know. CS2 just, I guess, doesn't hit the same. They kind of like removed B-hops from the game, and that kind of killed my enjoyment a little bit, but like a lot, actually, not by a little bit. Okay, look at that. We take this and then we maybe extend it a little bit in this direction so we can kind of have it. You catch my drift with this? Maybe. Maybe. Trying to kind of make like a broken down bit of walkway. Not sure if I'm succeeding at that. Wood back. Let's add this and then maybe a little bit to the top. That looks decent enough. CS died for me. Yeah. Do be like that. We are gathered here to mourn the loss of Counter-Strike. It was nice while it lasted. GG's. Gaben, how dare you? We will never forget this. We'll never forget what you did to counter of the strike. What layer is this on? The classic fun puzzle for the entire family. What layer is this random bit of thing on that is covering the thing I want to have? It's on this layer, apparently. I'm just stupid. Why is it... Okay. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's on a layer above this. Hold on. We'll find it. I'll find it. I'm not going insane. Shut up. What possible layer could I have put this on? Surely not this. Not the foam layer, probably. Left tree. Supports front. No. Wait a second. No, it has to be in front of this, because otherwise it's on the walkway layer. I just did that. Still have that old-ass keyboard. Unfortunately, that particular old-ass keyboard has kind of died, so I have a less old-ass keyboard. Like a Microsoft Comfort Curve something. So that keyboard is unfortunately dead. Because when I was trying, it like stopped, some of the keys stopped working, and when I tried to clean the paths on the board in it, I like cleaned the entire path of the board, and I I don't really have a good way to fix that. So unfortunately, the keyboard, it's curved because I do a lot of. Can I show? I mean, I can probably give you a link to a picture of it. Hold on. Curve 2000. I've spelled it as 200, but surely it'll find it. Images, please. Sorry, I dipped. Well, hello again. If I copy this image address, does this actually make any sense? No, I'd like to copy like the source image. Is this a real URL? Yes. Okay, fantastic. There you go. This is some image you can see of the keyboard I'm using. It looks just like that. This is indeed Ori inspired. I don't know if you've played the game, but there's a particular moment in the game that this is kind of referencing or like inspired by, you could say. Old ass keyboard, it's old, but it works. And the curve is actually good in terms of like comfort for work. Because I type on a keyboard for a lot of hours a day, so anything that helps increase the comfort of me doing that is a massive boon. Haven't friends played it? I highly recommend Ori and the Blind Forest. There's also a sequel which I haven't played because I wanna beat the first game on 1 life difficulty before I get into the second one. So I haven't played the sequel, but I've heard it's basically stellar. And the entire game is like, in terms of execution, it's pretty much pitch perfect. Coding nerd, curve good. This is not like, this keyboard is absolute normie tier in terms of what people do with keyboards. I've gone down the rabbit hole recently because my hands started hurting a little bit, which I identified as was mostly due to my desk being a little too high. But I started looking into like more ergonomic setups, and so imagine you have a keyboard and then you chop it in half. And that's like the first basic idea you get for like ergonomic keyboards. So you have both hands, instead of converging to one keyboard, you have them like by your side parallel to your body. Ergonomics is life. Well, ergonomics is just how to be comfortable and not have health issues while you work. So it's kind of necessary if you work. Like you split the keyboard in two, and now you have like 2 different sets. Trackball mouse is peak ergos. What do you recommend a trackball mouse? Do you have one that like you do it with your thumb? You just navigate? Because the one thing I might want to replace is the mouse. Because I feel like my right hand feels worse than the left. The left is basically fine. The right hand feels a little weird. So I'm thinking like maybe I'd invest in a vertical mouse or a trackball mouse, or maybe a little touchpad that I'd have on the bottom. So if you have a recommendation for that, I could absolutely use that. That would come in handy. Most definitely. Index trackball mouse with scroll ring. Scroll ring is, I assume, like scrolling on the thumb? Because like what else would a scroll... Oh, or is the scroll ring around the trackball? Yeah, shoot me a link. I'll look at that gladly. Because the Ergo rabbit hole is absolutely insane. There's people who are like custom 3D printing and soldering custom mechanical keyboards to like adjust them to the hand shape. And then there's insane people who decide to like remove most of the keys of the keyboard because I can just have layers, which, hearing this as a certified gamer, hurts. Well, for gaming you want a normal mouse, but I'm not gaming for like 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 hours a day. So you know what? I'll take things. I'll take things and I'll do them. Let's well, okay. Let's take this out onto a different layer, shall we? Yes, we shall. This is like lanky trees. Trackball mouse is crazy. It's like, well, for gaming I'd imagine it wouldn't be very good if you want to like have way more control with a trackball than a regular mouse. I don't think for like Twitch shooters that would work, but I can imagine for if you actually have games where you want to click on stuff with your cursor, I'd imagine that would be better. Even working with a normal mouse is fine, mostly. It depends. I think I've kind of found how to do it comfortably. Maybe. We'll see how it like develops over time. Because I've introduced a lot more exercises, etc. to like keep the comfort. So I don't know which particular thing it is, but one thing that does get me thinking about the like ergonomic rabbit hole is the fact that you can have more keys on the thumbs. That's, I think, a great idea that I would like in just a normal keyboard. Like, give me a normal keyboard, but instead of a space bar, I'd like to have 6 keys. so I can use both thumbs to do things. That would just be nice. And then another thing would be to like have some way to make small mouse movements and adjustments and click on things without having to pick my entire arm up and go to the mouse, which there's not really a good solution for that. I've seen. I've seen people with keyboards with like integrated trackballs into there, but I think you have to like custom build one, and it's a ridiculous amount of effort, and I don't think I'm gonna be doing that anytime soon, at least. Why not just don't work? Because I want to work. I like programming. I know. I think this is absolutely insane for people to imagine, but just live. Shut up. Just live. Damn, bro. What do you mean just live? I want to do things. I want to get things done. I like getting shit done. And if my hands, like, I need my hands to be able to get shit done. And so I can't destroy them. Who cares if you like programming? Well, me! Duh! You poo-poo. Wow, look at this guy. I'm the communist. Communist identified. Preparing to eliminate communist from chat. You will now be banned. Bye-bye. I want to sleep. Well, there's times at which I've sent links, thanks. There's times at which I wanna sleep. This is true. This is correct. Although a lot of the time it's more of a, well, I guess I have to go to sleep because I'm falling over, more than it is you know, oh, you know what I want to do right now? I just want to sleep. I just want to do nothing for 8 hours. That's what I fucking love doing. You know? That's not really the thought process. I sleep begrudgingly. That's workaholism. What's that? I've never heard of him. Yes. Well, is it time to make big changes like moving? This tree is completely like doesn't exist behind this thing. Layer's half empty. I'm thinking of moving this tree somewhere else. But before I do that, I should probably hide this layer and hide the mid background tree and make sure this layer actually exists. Why not have money and play game all day, life good? Like, I mean, I just want to do things. I want to get things done. We are doing cool projects in our like business, me and my dad. We are doing good and cool stuff and useful things for people, and I just want to do that. My dream isn't really to like sit around all day and play video games, because that doesn't really, you know, that's not enough. I wanna get stuff done, damn it. I wanna be a productive, useful member of society, whatever that means, even if the society is annoyed at me for doing what I do. Whatever, we'll figure it out in one way or another. Working like that sounds good. Yeah, that's I think the work setup you kind of want to have. You want to find a way to work in something that you find valuable enough to the point where you actually want to you know, wake up every day and go do it. That's probably you probably want to find that, because it's not like people say like, oh, you know, find a job you like and you will not work a day in your life. That's not really true. Because it is still work, and it still requires effort, and it, you know, tires you out still, and you know, you still need to meet deadlines, and sometimes there's crunch time, etc., blah blah blah. But the point is, you want to find something that you find valuable, so that you have a reason to do it. So when it's great, and then when it sucks, you have a reason to power through the time that sucks, effectively. What did you have for dinner? Yeah, are you just trying to like make me learn food-related vocabulary? Is this the effort? Is this the plan? I'm gonna have to like have some way to name the food I've eaten. Is there some chicken? There's some pepper, not pepper as in the spice, but pepper as in the vegetable. And that like cooked, I guess. No, not cooked. What do you do in an oven? Baked? Question mark. And there's some bacon on that, and there's like other stuff. And then you have cauliflower, and then the cauliflower but in the other color. I don't know the word for that. Broccoli, that's right. And something like that, and like some other stuff, and we ate it. It was decent. And we had like round balls of potato flour baked. That's right. I know words sometimes, maybe. Just pissed off about my dinner. Well, I am sorry to hear about your dinner, but unfortunately I can't do anything further with that. Unlucky, unlucky. You know what? I'll mail you a different dinner, and that is most likely not going to have any problems in execution. I think that's a great idea. And that's why I want to tell you about the sponsors of today's video, which is like this, like you can get boxes with like shitty slop. And we are gonna take $20 from you for that. Thank you, Daily. Bye bye. You ever see those ads where people like advertise that food and it just looks miserable? It's like a pile of like little sad blob on the plate. It's like, oh, this is the great food you want me to be eating, huh? Where's the foreground? Oh, I have too many layers. I need to like group these layers because I'm scrolling and I'm not finding what I need. Let's see. Let's start with this effectively being the foreground, including this tree. So like this is foreground mid. Gooding. Hello. What up? Then we have all of this stupid shit on the water that we can group together. So this is the water stuff. And then this is like the background proper. And then there's the water as well somewhere. Any wise advice when I finish school next year? Well, by school do you mean like literally school, or do you mean uni? I assume you mean school, because you would probably say uni if you were finishing uni. Well, hard to give advice on something that is severely personal, but literally school, yeah. Hold on, let me finish grouping these layers so I can like gather my thoughts. Okay, so this is like water. This is, these things are the background. Have you considered going into the trades? That's a good question. Because really, if you like, you know, you're out of school, now you are entering the time where effectively you are going to be choosing what to do with your life, and it is a difficult thing to like hit and jump into all at once. So that kind of a lot of this depends on if you already have some maybe like predefined interests and things you already maybe figured out you like doing. And because effectively from the point where you start being responsible for your own life and, you know, supporting yourself, etc., then it's really up to you how you are going to do that. And, you know, there's advice you can find, and people can tell you things that are good. Like, for example, you know, going into the trades is not a stupid idea at all, and you can earn good money by doing these things. But there's not really a pre-written guide to what you should do with your life from this point on. Like, the most general kind of plan for this is you wanna figure out what you like doing, and once you have that nailed down, you wanna figure out if you if you can make money on it effectively. That's kind of the deal. And if you can't make money on what you like to do, then you find, you know, then you have the consideration of like, what sucks the least, but I make good money so I can make what I like to do, and what I feel, for example, is important to do in my free time. So then you kind of work around that. And then basically with this kinds of stuff, there's no really correct answer to any of it. It's as much as you put in, you will get out of it as much as you put in. So like, the smarter you are about this, the better your outcomes are generally going to be. Of course, considering you can easily fail due to random circumstances, but of course, like, you minimize risk, but don't let yourself be paralyzed by the fact that something is risky and can not work out. Like, make a backup plan, you know, stuff like that, etc. Average age in the trades is only going up. Prime for becoming an expert and making a large amount of money. I mean, yeah, I suppose, and this is advice relaying from a good friend. I think I could call him that. It's if you ever need a job, you can probably walk up to any place that does any form of like manual physical labor, like, I don't know, a job site, like maybe something that does trades, etc., and they probably need people. And if you're gonna walk in and say, okay, I want to work, then that's already you've already recommended yourself in a great way, because you are showing that you are actually interested in doing stuff. So you're likely to, you know, so if they actually have some work for you, they'll give you that work, and if they don't, then maybe they know someone who does, and so you'll be redirected, and you know. So it's like, you're never really stuck too much, I think. It depends. I'm not the greatest guy to give advice on like finding jobs and picking stuff, because I am hired entirely through nepotism. So so, you know, that I don't know how to like look for jobs. I'd have to I know how I'd like to approach it. I'd like to approach it in a way where I communicate. It's like, okay, here's what I've done. Here's what I've been doing. Here's what I can do. Do you need a guy who, you know, do you need a guy who's done these things? That's kind of what I want to send, but that's because I already have experience, which I know it's harder to get when you don't have the power of nepotism at your side. Step 1, make a CV. Not a bad first step. Already found a school we'll be attending. Probably will be doing a high school diploma with training in biological technological assistant. Hope it all works out. You know what? Like, if you want to continue in that direction and that's something that interests you, then, you know, absolutely. And then probably also, oh, you know what? Have a hobby. I know that this might be condescending or whatever, or like a weird bit of advice to hand out, but having something like a hobby. Okay, what is a hobby? I would say have something you just like doing for the sake of it, and you don't force yourself to do it, and you don't have deadlines on it, and it doesn't matter if you do, whether you do it or don't. That's that's something that's been pretty good for me. Drawing for me is that, right? I've said for myself that I don't draw for money. Even if I draw something for someone, I don't take money for it, and I don't take anything that has a deadline at all. So I let myself do whatever. I let myself not, you know, I don't watch tutorials. I don't like spend time to practice this specifically if I don't feel like doing anything in particular. And it really helps to have that kind of, to have this something carved out that you don't have like any, that you don't have, like, it's the opposite of stress, right? Like, for me, a lot of these words didn't have meaning really until I kind of figured this out. It's like, yeah, stress and then, you know, then relaxation. It's like, yeah, stress is when you have all of these constraints and you need to do stuff, and it like compresses you in a way because you need to do things. Then there's also, it's necessary to have the time in which you don't have to do certain things, where you can just say, it's like, okay, I don't feel like drawing, so I'm just not gonna draw, right? It's just not gonna happen, and too bad for like anyone interested, but I just don't feel like it, and that's okay. And that is, you know, in this part of my life, I've specifically said that's okay, because I don't want that, you know, I don't want that to be in the job. Like, that's the last thing you want to tell your customer. It's like, well, I don't feel like doing the job today, so I guess you will just, I don't know, go die. Like, not a great marketing strategy. Find interest in biology, get a camera, photography. You know what? If you start, like, if you take pictures, I'm down to see them. Send them to me. I do not know too much about photography, but I like have some general experience with like visual stuff, like from drawing and whatnot. So maybe I can provide some feedback, because I know, I don't know, maybe you've got some like forums, etc. to like have that kinds of stuff, but in my experience, it's generally hard to come by people who are willing to give you feedback, especially critical feedback. So you know what? If you want it, send it to me and I'll try say something about it at least. May not be much, may not be the smartest thing you've ever heard, but by God, is it gonna be something? It's like this. It's I don't really know why it's so hard to kind of come by. You need to get a camera first. Valid. I don't. I wonder why it is that. Why is it so hard, like, often to come across feedback? As I don't know if people like just generally don't really care that much to give it. If they don't know, they don't really think about it all that much, so it's not really natural for them to come up with feedback. But does kind of make me wonder. It's like critical feedback is so important to doing almost anything, and then it's so bloody hard to come by any of it anywhere. It puzzles me, I'll be frank. It puzzles me from time to time a lot. It's like, why, you know? It's like, I understand you don't want to give everybody all the time all the feedback, because some people just are not asking for feedback, and then, you know, other people kind of react badly, and then you don't think about it, blah blah blah. I was afraid I actually accidentally yeeted the entire layer. But still, like, that feedback's so damn important. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want feedback. I mean, I can imagine why you would want feedback, but none of the reasons I am imagining for that are any good. That's the kind of thing. Is I'm just scared to lose interest in the hobby and then leave the camera to dust in a corner. It's, you know what? For me with drawing, it's been on and off. Like, I have times where I just don't feel like drawing, and then I just don't draw for like months. It happens. It's and that's why it's good to have it as a hobby, because when that time comes, the hobby, the voluntary nature of the hobby, so the fact that you don't have to do it, means in a situation like that, you don't have to force yourself to continue. You can just let it go, and, you know, if it's something that really interests you, it's more than likely going to show up again later. You're gonna, I don't know, see some photographs, and you're like, damn, I'm going out, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna take more pictures because I'm just inspired to do so. And then, you know, you do it when you actually want to do it, as opposed to you do it because, well, I guess I want to be a photographer and I gotta like grind, you know, Sigma male grind set needs to come on. We need to like put effort into it explicitly, and like throw all my resources into that. It's like it lets you chill in a way. It's like, it's fine. It's fine if I don't draw for like 5 months. It's alright. It might come back. It might never come back. I might never draw another thing again, but it doesn't really matter. Like, whatever way, you know, whatever way it turns out, it's fine. Because it's explicitly made to not be, you know, something other people depend on and need, and it's a disaster if it like stops going. Okay, I want to add like another, going back to the drawing, because I'm constantly doing something with this in the background. I want to add more of these flows, but I've made them too saturated, so this will need to be a little, this will need to be adjusted a little bit. Because this water is like way darker than the rest of it, and that doesn't quite look all that great. So that's certainly an important bit of thing. And I don't want to hand this kind of point as a, because a lot of people go about it with the kind of attitude of like, oh, don't let anybody tell you what to do, and that's stupid, because there's a lot of people who maybe have already done what you've done, or like gone through the path and have very useful advice you could take. But the more like the better version is do like maintain, think through things that you take from others, and if somebody tells you that something is impossible or you shouldn't do it, then if you have the time and can afford it, then go deeper into that. It's like, why exactly is this not possible? Because sometimes it's sensible, and sometimes it's just that guy hasn't done it, and you know, you see him maybe as an authority figure, which is depending on your personality, it might be a less of a problem. I'm rather risk avoidant, so for me this is a bigger problem than for other people. You want to make sure that you actually you want to make sure you know why you are doing things, is what this boils down to. You want to make sure that as many of the decisions you do are thought through and have some kind of reasoning behind them, because even if the reasoning is wrong, if you had the reasoning, then you can take a look at it and adjust it and like fix it and correct it for the next time. And if you just did it randomly, then you have nothing to go on, so you haven't learned from the experience. Right, good night anyway. Thanks for chatting. I hope I didn't sound too preachy. This looks amazing. What software are you using? This is Krita. This is Krita. There's a link, I think, in the description. I'm fairly certain I put it there. That's right. Krita.org. Super Picture Maker 3000 is also a valid answer to the question. So you may choose to use either one of these. Also, this waterfall looks horrendous. Whoops. We are redoing that and making it less complicated. And also we are taking this and bumping up the brightness on it so it doesn't stick out quite as badly. Maybe saturate it a little bit. Put it up. Yep. Okay, this is more in line with the rest of the background. Now it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I think, in my personal, professional, unbiased opinion. What reason really do I have to be biased, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. There's no reason. I'm the most unbiased person possible to judge this. Most definitely. I don't know, man. I feel a little bit out of place handing out life advice, but it's also kind of nice to be able to share a little bit of a, it's like, oh, you know what, I kind of was thinking about this, so maybe I'll tell you a little bit of what I came up with, and then maybe you will use it and maybe you won't, maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. because, well, it's like how much actual knowledge am I able to have? And you know what? A lot of the time, it's enough to just reassure somebody. No, you are not insane. It's fine. You know, or like, yes, you can think this, and you can think differently from the people you are taking for now as like authorities and subjects. It's like, yes, you know, they might just be wrong. It could be the case. And maybe it's even very likely. No, stuff like that. You should definitely hand out life advice. I mean, I suppose. Doesn't hurt, probably. I learn from the mistakes of others who follow my advice. That yeah, that's the model I'd like to avoid, actually. Like, sorry. I'd like to not do that specifically. Waiter, please. Can we do anything other than that? Please. Okay, I like this water to be also on like another layer. This is a mess. I need to name these layers as well, because clearly having trouble navigating them. Okay, cut it out, put it up. And now brighten it, so it's like more in line with the other part of it. I don't know if this looks like water. That's the problem. Not quite sure what to do about it though. Did I merge this yet? I'm confusing myself. This is the water layer. We're gonna put the water on the water layer. Why? Yes. Probably need to go to bed soon, judging by the quality of Fortnite that just came out of my mouth. Does this look like water though? I'll probably need to come back to it with a fresh perspective, and then it's gonna look better. At least that's what I think. I personally need you to hand out advice. Now, could be trolling or could be real. There's about a 50-50 chance. This reflection is a little bit of a mess now. Wait, there we go. That tree is like taking up the space over there, and then we have a little bit of air visible like nearby this bit. I'm actually surprised because this is coming together much more nicely. We might re-enable the layer with the little like for my own sanity. Okay. Have you recently been hearing like a lot of absolute garbage life advice? And you just want someone to counterbalance with like the most generic stuff possible. Although I don't think that's the most generic stuff possible, to be honest. I've not really heard a lot of this stuff formulated in the way I'm formulating it, which I suppose is the whole point of like handing out, is to hand it out in the way you've formulated it, because it maybe helps people in a different way than they've usually heard. Because kind of as I've said, like for me, a lot of these things had no meaning until I kind of figured them out in my own way and put them into my own words that were, you know, different and like focused on like different aspects and bits of this. So, you know, there's probably a good reason to say things to people, because it's probably gonna end up being useful one way or another. Not quite groundbreaking, but you know. Whoops, wrong color. I just know what you have to say is good, helpful to others, want to encourage that. You know what? Thank you, because as you might have noticed, I'm a little bit stubborn on accepting that I maybe have something interesting to say. Having a hard time with that, unfortunately, sometimes. Gotta work on it. We'll get there. We'll do it. Okay, look at that. This is improving, I think, significantly. perhaps this, and we throw it over to the like dark greens near the shore. But this is slightly too dark of a green, so maybe we like lighten it up with another one that's a little bit blue-ish in nature, and that's kind of also going to be like should give the water a little bit more of a swampy look. And it integrates this part of the image better with the water, I think. That's probably a good idea. Then we... like a lot of this, I think, needs to be redone. Like this shouldn't be dark. Because it shouldn't be dark, because of course it's in the shade, but it's reflecting the underside of this. So just kind of like do that. And same over here, just like reflect a little bit of the underside of that thing, and it should look decent. And similar with this, we want probably this color. Shift it over towards greenish and maybe a little bit lighter because it's also like near the light. And then probably, whoops, accidentally wiped a bunch of that. Whoopsie. Boom. And then should this be the same color as questionable? Yeah, it's not far enough from it because this is taller, so it should be, so like should be more over here. And then like, I'd like it to be like a similar shape to what the thing above is, kind of, question mark, explanation point, explodation point. Right or wrong? Don't know. Maybe this is right. And then we throw on top of this, we throw like a more brighter color to like balance it out around the edges. I am making this up. This is not like whatsoever refined in terms of process, but maybe we'll get like a decent result out of it. This is too dark and too close to... too dark and too close to the actual structure, so it doesn't look like it's properly being reflected. We need to roll this back and try and do it again. Can I roll it back still? Yes. Okay, good. I haven't taken a backup of the water. But how about we just wing it anyway and don't really care. Okay, like brighten this up, desaturate, bring it towards like green, yellow. So like introduce little reflections of these supports. Yeah, and now with that, it makes little to no sense to do that because I want to have the reflection of the supports, and then the reflection of the supports should be underneath the reflection, you know, above rather, the reflection of the actual structure it's supporting. And the reflection of the structure it's supporting shouldn't be a massive like hard blob, but rather because of the Fresnel effect, which I was talking about last time, we want it to be a little... like we want it to basically appear less as we move towards the camera effectively. Something like this should be decent. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot closer to good than it used to be. I think this looks somewhat right. Like at first glance, if you look at it from a distance. And then we introduce a little bit of color there, but that's too dark. So like this green kind of for the reflections of the tree in the background. Maybe this, and then have little bits of like this white kind of poking around it in a way, because there's little bits of white are gonna be sticking out because the water just reflects stuff in random directions sometimes. Also here a little bit. I'd say that's an improvement. And then we also have a little bit of this like darker brownish color, question mark, exclamation point. I said explanation point again. Not great, not great. Like, right, no. There needs to be like a little bit of the tree also visible. Because there's like this like leaning tree of Pisa, presumably. Like, wanna have a little bit of that going to the side. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons again. I should go to bed because I need to wake up tomorrow, but it's going too well so far. It's going too well. I've like gotten on a roll. You've like given me a massive confidence boost, and now we are schmooving, as the kids say. Thank you for that. You know, I could use some encouragement from time to time. It is wonderful. Helps a lot. Thanks. Boop. No, this direction, like this. Yeah, something like this, something like that. Yeah, I'm seeing this. I'm picking up what I'm throwing down. That's right. I'm talking to myself. Isn't. And then the foreground I still don't know what to do with, but I'd like to reintroduce, because I have this in the sketch, like these little layers of like moss and duckweed, I believe it's called. So for now, no log, but we are just gonna introduce like little splashes of this, kind of like towards this edge of the pond. Maybe. I'm thinking like little bits of little bit of green is going to go a long way in this kind of corner, but this is too dark, I think. So like it's good dark for this because this is kind of in the shade from the cliff, but it's not quite as good for something like this, which is why I should grab it. Same kind of with this here, and then brighten it up a whole lot. Oh, but this is on the kind of the wrong layer a little bit, but you know what? I could brighten all of it up. No, I should brighten just the green. Never mind, I've reconsidered. Boop, 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 boop. This is, okay, no, hold on. We cancel that and we just draw it again with a brighter color real quick, because that's gonna be easier to do. And maybe we do it on another layer so it's non-destructive to the existing water. I think that's probably the play to go for. And just quickly... Oh yeah, this is much better in terms of like the proper brightness and the saturation. And then we introduce patches of like brighter light on top of it. Give it a little bit of texture. And this should already be a little bit better. And then we probably cut some holes into it near the edges so that looks more organic once again. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I like these like little dots. They kind of help give it a little bit more of a shape and texture. I think that's a good way to go about it. Yeah, I think this is a decent addition into this corner. Just a little bit of a a little bit of duckweed on the water. I think this is once again a pretty big improvement. Okay, let's compare it to what was before I started today. Let's see, I think that's the 5th one. Insert as new layer. And then throw it up on the very top. Okay, so this is what we started with. The foreground looks a little like it's filtered. I maybe overdid it on the color correction a little bit. But the background I think is a big improvement, with the tree being moved and there being like cliffs and water falling, and then the water I think is also improved. So I think I think we are going in the correct direction. You know, it's a little slow, but we are getting there over time. We'll get there, maybe. All right, let's save it. Actually, let's undo the foreground adjustment a little bit, because looks a lot more fleshed out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it's not because there's a lot more elements, it's just because I've like the whole thing is a little more thought out. So it's basically gone a little bit from, okay, desaturate this a little bit. It's gone from being a like sketch to like, this is closer to what a finished product for this would look like. I don't want to oversaturate this, that's the thing. So I'm thinking this, and it's still an improvement over the original. Let's compare the original. Yeah, the original is really blue, so even a subtle shift like this helps a lot. Wait, what is this? What is this massive dot floating here? What is that? What layer is this on? I need to remove this before I export it and finish. What possible layer could I have slapped a brown dot on and not noticed? Not the foreground. It's probably the backdrop, right? Just on the waterfall layer? No, on the cliffs layer, apparently. Well, alright, fair enough. That's gonna be it for this one. Thank you very much for sticking by. I think it's gone better towards the second half of the stream, because the first one I was kind of just waffling with layers and wasn't great. But picked it back up, and works continuing still. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for chatting. It was fun. Good night. I'm going to bed. Bye.